Hi everyone, Fiona here again, this time from Fairies Cross from my workplace in Tralee in Fairies Cross Medical Centres. So I was asked to do a running focused class for Pilates. Now this is our intermediate standard and we'll do about 35 minutes. So I suppose a lot of the exercises that would be good for runners doing Pilates we've already done. There's an awful lot of overlap. We will work though on some extra things in standing to begin with. If you were able to have a step, now you could use the bottom step of the stairs or anything like that, a door step. You don't have to necessarily do the standing part where you're going to go and lie down on your mat. And that's the squishy Pilates ball, the over ball. I'll just be using it for a few things. We will squeeze it at times between the knees, but we'll also be using it for assisted single leg squats. So it is helpful to have something that rolls there under your foot. We've done that before with water bottles. So if you don't have a soft ball, you might be able to try a water bottle there. And I just have a weight, that's just 3 kg. Kettlebell would be okay too, or one single-handed weight that you can grip into one hand. Again, we'll just use it coming up onto the step and for our RDL type work like this. So, and then you'll need your mat and your towel then after we've got onto the mat. So we're going to start off in standing. We'll warm up and I'll just put these to the side for a second so that you can see the warm up. You can go on your mat or you can just be on a solid floor. Of course with Pilates we normally have our shoes off, but you can, if you prefer to wear orthotics or anything like that, you can have shoes on. Shoes off on the squishy mat, again, will just give you more feedback and it'll make your balance a little bit harder. Okay, let's start with our walking. So we're just warming up and limbering up here, the same idea as usual, 3 points of balance in the base of the feet, just keeping the neutral spine as always, because we don't want the pelvis to be shifting sideways here. So up nice and tall and just add in your opposite hand and leg. That's just a little bit of a warm up as we normally do. So if we're thinking about what we're trying to achieve in walking, jogging, running, usually these are straight line activities. So we want to make sure that we're strong enough in our hips and our knees especially to be able to control the kneecap angle, that it isn't deviating inwards. So we'll just come up into tabletop in standing, thinking of our 2 parallel tracks, into tabletop in standing, and we'll just do our arm circles there, get them limbered up and ready for weight. So I'm thinking about trying to maintain this straight line up through this side to the shoulder and even through the foot, knee and shoulder up the other side, trying to maintain that straight. Now we'll just stretch our hamstrings while we circle the arms and focus on balance, base of the arch, the base of the big toe, little toe, center of the heel working. So your calf muscle is going to feel that on your wobbly mat. And again, remember calf power is really important. We'll work on some bent knee calf power, which is very important for runners as well. So main thing is you want hip strength, knee control, and certainly arch and calf power for anybody who suffers with Achilles issues, plantar fasciitis, anything like that. So switch over, switch to the other side. Again, don't let the pelvis fall off to the side, get that straight line up, center tight to do that. You can see again, I find that harder on this side. This time we're going to go back with the shoulders, just for a different warm up. Push back, we're going to add in the hamstring stretch, kick out, shoulders down, and 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Take whatever ball you had, or if you don't have one handy, no problem, normal squats. Put it between the legs, kneecaps facing forwards, and sit back into your squat. We've done that with the cushion before, so we just sit right back into the squat. So remember, when you're doing your squats, you're trying to get stronger in your thighs and glute muscles especially. You're not trying to drive the knees forwards over the toes. We're trying to sit back into the squat. The deeper you come down with the hips, the more you're going to feel that in the thighs. I want you to keep squeezing the ball in between the knees just to get the adductor muscles, the inside of the thighs working a little harder, and try and really sit deep into it. Keep the symmetry, the same thing happening on both legs, the same timing of unlocking the knees. Now rise up to the calves if you can stabilize your ball. That's where these balls are really helpful now, because you can squeeze this one, it's quite squishy. Again, a cushion would be okay here too for these ones. Sit right back, then rise up to the tiptoes for calf strength and control. Now we're going to work on single leg squat control. And we don't do this very often in Pilates with no aid. Single leg squats can be quite hard. Some people find them hard on their knees. So we're going to work with the ball under one foot. So if I put it under my right foot, first of all, the ball of my foot on the ball, and I'm going to try not to shift the pelvis from side to side, keeping my neutral, and I'm going to sit back into that, okay? Now I'm watching this kneecap, the one that's bending. I'm trying not to let it wobble in too much, okay? I'm trying to keep my straight track line. So that's my left leg is actually doing that work. I'll just go side on for you there. Now if my left foot's on the solid ground, I should find it easier. Sit back into that. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And again, sit hips back. Don't put too much pressure over the kneecap in front. Try and press the hip back so you feel the effort. You're strengthening the standing leg that's on the ground. The reason we have the ball is just for a little bit of assistance, a little bit of feedback, a little bit of balance. If you can do a single leg squat without it, you can stay in control of your pelvis. No problem, you don't need to use it. You could put a water bottle under your foot if you don't have a squishy ball like that. Now my left thigh is getting tired. Just 2 to go. And 1. Okay, switching that over. I'm going to stand on my right leg, left foot starting on the ball, trying to get my alignment that I'm not hip out to the side, stand up tall, exhale. Now you can see that knee is drifting out to the side there. Just adjust my foot position, see can I manage it on the mat. Keep my straighter alignment, that's better. Exhale, sit back into it. There's a wobble under the front foot for me. This is my weaker right side. I do find it more difficult here to control that that right hip doesn't cave out to the side. So I'm going to tighten up my corset. I'm going to concentrate on where my kneecap angle is going. I'm going to sit back as far as I feel I can control that. I'm really starting to feel the effort in around the right hip. And we go for 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Well done. So put the ball to the side. Okay, we're going to work now with the weight. So take the weight. We're going to do our single leg forward lean, our RDL, Romanian deadlift. Now, if my left leg, is slightly bent, what I'm going to do is hinge forwards. I'm holding the weight in my right hand, and then I'm going to extend it out. Return it to tabletop, and I'm going to push that weight up, controlling all the time. Exhale, stretch. Inhale, return. Exhale, up. Inhale, return. Keep that front kneecap facing straight ahead. So if I face the camera angle, we're trying not to drift in. So I'm stretching out, keeping that straight line straight ahead. Kneecap over second toe, coming through tabletop, pushing up through the ceiling, just not hitching that shoulder. Stabilize. This leg's working hard now to stabilize that extra weight in the opposite hand. Foot's feeling it. Stretch out. Last one. Think of the control element now. You're probably wobbling like me, especially if you're on the mat, and the extra weight in the hand will make you wobble. Switch that over now. So again, Focusing on the slight bend in the front leg. That's my right leg working, left leg holding the weight. Stretch it out. Try and get your two parallel lines that you're not crossing the back leg over midline. Push to the ceiling from tabletop. And again, tummy tight, stretch it out. Hip and knee control, particularly now with the added weight, making it harder. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Keep going. Kneecap over second toe. Don't let the back leg cross midline. Three. Two. And one. Well done. Now you can set your weight down just for a second and just shake off the legs there. Another thing we do sometimes in our classes, we're getting going in a little jogging motion and then we'll be ready to do a little jump land. So it's how you absorb the shock and land. So jog, 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 jog. Kneecaps pointing straight ahead, land. Again, little jog. Keep breathing, keep center tight. Land. I'm going to do that facing the camera so you can see I shouldn't be deviating the kneecaps inwards. Just knees pointing straight ahead as I land into that. Hips back. If you feel like you want to land on single leg, again you can do that. Landing with the kneecap facing straight ahead, hips coming back. Not letting the kneecap wobble inwards. Two more. One. Okay, well done. That's just something a little bit extra you can try because very often people's knees will deviate in there. Again, if you're not strong enough on the side of the hip and you go to land, sometimes what happens is the knee drifts in. We see quite a little bit of injuries in the inside of the knee and the outside of the hip. Now you're going to take your weight. So what we're doing here is we're using this as a step up. So I'm going to step up with my left leg leading. So my weight's in my right hand. So left pushes down and I drive up that right side. Right leg, right hand coming up. So are you ready? Push through. Push through. Okay, is it Pilates? Well, Joseph Pilates is the man that said, if you get the center of your core strong enough, it'll be your powerhouse and everything else, functional things, will get easier. So we can move better when we're strong in our core. So as long as we use our principles, that we're still trying to stay strong in our hips, our deep tummy, our back, our deep shoulders, then we can still say we're using our Pilates principles to adapt this for runners. And we're going to go for 3 and 2 and 1 and switch. Okay, so this time I'm going onto the step with my right leg leading, so my left hand's pushing up. And I'm just bringing the left leg up into tabletop. If I do it side on, you'll see why. So as I push down here and bring my leg up, I'm getting a stronger bottom contraction as I sweep that left leg up. And we go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Okay, so you can put this to the side. If it's a movable step, great. You can use it for your bridging later. If it isn't movable, you can scrap. You can have anything that the feet can go on in a while. Now, hold your weight in 2 hands in front of the chest and go into lunges. 1 foot in front of the other, hip distance apart. Don't have the back arched, tummy So down into the lunge, and you're going to pulse up and down here. With the addition of the extra weight, you should feel that in the thighs. So a lot of runners may be quite tight in the hip flexors here in front. So you're trying to get down quite deep. Feel the stretch there in this rear leg, front of the rear leg. And we're going to go for 3, 2, 1, and switch. Okay, again, kneecaps pointing forwards, 2 parallel lines. On the back forefoot, get down quite low, keeping the tummy tight now so you can start to feel that stretch through the front of the hip, working through the front of the quad. Keep feeling the effort stretch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, holding your weight centrally. We're going for the hip hinge now. Knees a tiny bend and hinge the hips back. So you're not going so deep as the squat. Okay, you're going for the hinge forward. Tuck in those ribs, keep the spine long. And you don't have to extend the arms if you find you prefer to keep your weight in a little closer. That's okay. So can you see how the hips are bending? Feel that in the hamstrings behind as you push the hips back. Only a slight bend of the knees. We're hinging at the hips. You feel this up the backs of the legs. And we're going to go for another 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, with the weight close into the chest, crouch down a little bit so you're into bent knees, body hinge forward, tummy tight. Try rise up to the tiptoes and down to the heels. So the more weight you have here, the more you're going to find the strengthening effect in the arches and in the calf muscles, especially the deep calf muscles. So you're coming up, onto the forefeet, and down. To the forefeet, and down. So here you're strengthening your soleus muscle, which comes up the back of each calf and attaches below the knee joint. So the bigger calf muscles attach above the knee joint, and the deep ones you have to strengthen with the knees bent because they're attaching below. So 3 and 2 and 1. Still holding your weight in 2 hands, widen out the legs, toe angle turning out, and the knees are going to go right out over the second toe for your sumo squat. If you want to make it a little harder, just add overhead, knees following second toe. So you're pushing your weight up without hitching the shoulders, hips back slightly, feeling that in the groin. Sit right back into it. Strengthening thighs, more so now by adding the weight. And we go for 5 and 4, 3 and 2, 1. Well done. Set down the weight, have it nearby, and do roll down. So we're really looking to bend our spine now. I need to remove the layer. We bend our spine so we can loosen off here where we've just been keeping quite rigid. So chin on chest, roll down. Hamstrings may feel quite supple and loose. They have been warmed up and working. Remember your back was holding quite still and neutral, so you just need to do a few roll downs. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, roll up. One more, roll down. Breathe in, hold, roll up. We're making our way onto our backs, onto the mat. You've already done 19 minutes, okay, with a bit of talking. So we'll keep going. We'll do another 16 or so. So onto your back, I want to pick things now that are most suitable for runners. So the first thing we're going to do is hundreds with the ball squeeze or cushion squeeze. Make sure you have your neutral bucket
Your pelvic floor is closed up. Your lower tummy is engaged. If you do not understand that, you're at the wrong level with my classes. I'd like you to just pick one from the YouTube page to teach the imprint more slowly. Tuck down your ribs now in the imprint, squeezing the pelvic floor up, and hop the ball in between the knees. So you're not doming here, you're nice and flat here, your back is not overarching, you're squeezing that ball inwards, you're holding steady. You can scoop to abdo prep, remaining flat here in the tummy, and you're beginning your arm pulses. So we breathe now. Deep breathing. In for 5. Out for 5. While you're breathing deeply, you're trying to get your breath into the sides of the ribs to expand them outwards, not tummy bulging to the ceiling. In Pilates, we want to keep our core strong and we want to not hold our breath so that we can work all these deep muscles. So really we need the breath to come into the side of the lower ribs, to use our diaphragm so we can engage and keep this rib to hip connection. Even if you're running, you should be trying to think of that. If your neck is tiring, you're setting down your head, you're continuing with your legs, squeezing that ball. You're going to push to the next level. If you like, you're going straighter legs. Hold them there again. Feel the challenge now is to keep this ribs down. Avoid the back from overarching, just the one great space under your lower back. Keeping that flat tummy nice and pulled in and up. Breathe again. Shoulders squeezing down into the mat on the blades, and then the arms nice and straight when you're doing your pulsing. You're trying to get stronger from rib to hip connection here. Fold through tabletop, take away the ball. Okay, set down. Good, tip that bucket backwards and forwards. Moving back up again in a second, and we're moving the legs this time so we don't want the ball. So neutral again, imprint, one leg up, keep it squeezed, second leg up. Don't touch them together now, put the arms down by your sides without sticking the ribs up or letting the gap get too big. Toe tap down into scissors. So one leg is coming up and one leg is going down. So we can see we're moving from the hips. The knees remain bent at 90 degrees. We don't want to do this. So we keep our knee at 90 and we push out the toe. Push the toe out, just toe tap down, really tight in through the deep tummy muscles, up through the pelvic floor, and keep it steady for this round. Tuck down those ribs. Don't forget to breathe. We're trying to stay flat in the tummy muscles. We're trying to continue to breathe. Keep the ribs tucked down. Keep feeling like you're shortening the abdominals. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, it is normal that you may well feel the fronts of the hips. Move your towel away, push up to bridge. Squeezing up to bridge. Shoulder bridge can be by lots of different aims. It can be about the blades pushing down, the rolling of the spine. This time we're really trying to strengthen our glutes. So we're going to drive up, squeeze the bottom tight, and then lower. Clench and squeeze. Now if you'd like to pop in your ball or towel back in between the knees, squeeze in tight, drive up, and release. And again, squeeze and drive up, and release. Keep clenching that ball, shoulders down. If you want to make it a little bit harder, keep the blades down but the arms up. And we'll go for 4. And 2. And 1. Well done. Back to the tummy muscles. So this time again, pop the towel underneath and come back into tabletop. So we take up our one leg, making sure our pelvic floor and lower tummy are working. Drop the ribs down and bring the second leg up. Into one leg stretch. If you'd like, you can add in the arms. So the dead bug, it's called otherwise. Reach out, return, stretch, and return. Now the lower you go here with the limbs towards the mat, the harder it is to stay tight and flat through the tummy muscles. We don't want that big back arch. We're trying to avoid that. Really shortening up that rib and hip connection. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Tighten that rib to hip connection a little more now so you don't feel as you get stretched out that you're overarching the back. You are not poking the ribs up. We go for 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll set down there. Well done. If you have got a movable step where you can maneuver your mat, where you can get your feet onto the step for bridging, it's just going to make the bridging more hamstring and inner groin focused. So what you do is you put your feet up onto it, you lie back, and then you drive into your bridge. You're getting higher. You're going to feel a bit more around the bottom and the inner thighs working. Anybody again who wants to make it a little harder, take up the hands and really clench. If you're feeling confident, you can try single leg from there. You really have to squeeze to get up into single leg bridging from the step. Can we manage 4 more on this leg? Don't let your pelvis drop. Can we do single leg bridging 4 times on the other leg? Last one. That's actually 5. Good. Okay, here's a tough exercise now for you. Come over onto your side and into high kneeling. Okay, give yourself a bit of room again, put that in your way. So I'm coming onto my right hand, I've got my left hand behind my head, come down and lift up straight on this leg. Now we're going to do side kick and high kneeling, so we go back and forwards on this straight leg. Don't let the knee bend, back and forwards. Now all the time you're stabilizing through the center. You don't want to feel that you're overarching your back or over moving your body. You're releasing your hip flexor in front, working the glute on the side. Go for 3, 2, and 1. And then we switch it. So if we come over this way, reach down onto the other hand, lift up nice and straight to begin. If your leg is too low, it's because you're weak on the side of the hip, or maybe you're too stiff. So then we go back and forward. Back and forward. So as you go back, you're releasing the tension that you may have in the front of the hip. You're working your bottom muscles, but you're also stabilizing and lifting the leg from the side of the hip. All those ones that we did in standing were also for the side of the hip, a lot of those control ones. And we go for another 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, and then we'll do 1 more on each side. So again, the elbow here is just to help you stay stacked. Lift that leg high. Begin your side sweep of the leg back. and forward. Trying not to bend here. Hold straight in this leg so your quad is contracting as well. 3, 2, 1. Switch again. Stretch it out. Back. Now, really starting to feel this right hip working, getting tired, holding the weight of my leg up. You may have a weak side that you've started to notice as well as you've clustered all of these things together. And 1. Okay, go down onto your tummy where we can work symmetrically now for a moment. So you're just going onto your tummy and you're going to do swim kick legs. So you can have your hands up under the towel or under your forehead. Your tummy needs to pull in, and then you're going to be lifting one leg and then the other leg. And those of you who feel comfortable at this and you don't feel it in your lower backs because you're pulling in your tummy, you're going to have both legs up together. Now it looks as though my knees are bending there, but I am trying to keep them straight. So I'm lifting from the front of the thigh off the mat, using the bottom muscles. One's working up, one's working down. Let the head rest. Suck in the tummy a wee bit more to try and feel it in the bottom and the thighs, but not in the back. Clench the quad muscles in front of the knees nice and tight. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a bend. Bend right back. Stretch. Okay, return back down onto your tummy. This time come on the forearms. Suck in the ribs, pull down the shoulders. Keep the ribs off the mat. Pelvis resting on the mat. Okay, we want to do a point, flex, point exercise now. Can you see how I am pulling the heel up towards the bottom, trying to anyway, I'm pointing the toe as it goes away. It's a coordination exercise for your hamstrings. It's quite quick. So heel is trying to pull up. Even I'm finding that hard now, I haven't done that in a wee while. So that's a timing and control effort for your hamstrings. If you start to feel like they're going to cramp and you feel like you can't do the two legs together, just stop a second, tuck in the tummy and do one foot at a time. So lift the heel up, point, up, point, up, point, up, point, up, point. So it's a timing for the hamstrings. Do a few on the other side. 3, 2, and 1, and we're back to side bend. So in side bend, we want our elbow nice and close to the hip first, so we're not straining our shoulder. We push up to side arc, and then we're going to do clam. So we're going to squeeze our feet together, and we're going to open the top knee in rotation off the bottom. So it's this hip is rotating. Your head can either arc with the side bend, or if you're more comfortable, you can hold it a little straighter. You're working the underneath hip to stabilize here and lift you up. And then this top hip is doing the rotation. So squeeze those heels together. Can we manage 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, set down, switch to the other side. You're more than welcome to pause and repeat another set of some of these if you feel like it's not quite enough for you. I just don't want the whole class to be too long. So pause at any stage and put another set in. We're clustering lots of things together that work the hips. So even though each exercise individually may not be that hard, you should have a fatigue effect building up. Squeeze those heels together. Stabilize the body. We're not allowing the body to fall back. 3, 2, and 1. Great. Now come over onto your, come up to sitting. We'll do this one first and then we'll turn over. Now 90-90 hip stretches we can't forget for any runners. So these are great for external rotation of the hip and internal rotation. So it's easier if you put your hands back, lean back, leave your feet where they are, and lift the knees to switch to the other side. So much easier if you lean back. Those of you who don't need to lean back, you're going to reach the hands up, switch, and reach the hands up. So you're not using the hands, you're using your hip control and your obliques to switch. Now I'm a little bit stiff, so I wriggle. I can't quite stay exactly where I started, but I'm certainly feeling the work in the rotation of the hips, especially in the stiffer right hip. When my knee drops here, I'm feeling that in the hip. I need to feel that in the hip because it is stiff, it's not painful. You can turn right back over your shoulder if possible, right back over your shoulder, and 3, 2, and 1. Now we can come back over onto our mat and into downward dog. So here it's a yoga move. We curl our toes under, we push our hips up, tummy tight. Okay, first we're working on our push back through the heels of the hands, stretching out that posterior chain, so that's everywhere from the soles of the feet up the backs of the calves into hamstrings, hips and lower back. Stretch that. Push the heels down if we're able, rock into it on the out breath. And we go for 4, and 3, and 2. Now soften the knee joints so you're not too straight in the knees, therefore you're going to be able to lift one leg right up and lower. You may need to come onto the ball of that foot in order to get your leg right up high and lower. So this is a nice stretch and it's an activation for your glutes, so you're lifting your leg up against gravity and then you're feeling the stretch through the front of the hip flexor on it, and you're stabilizing and stretching through the calf on the other side. So 2 more on each side. Great. Now you can either do hands to feet or feet to hands. Get yourself into a strong position. Breathe out. Roll your way back up again into standing. And you can roll back your shoulders. Make sure you're not too dizzy there from being head down. You can do any normal stretches that we usually do for our neck and shoulders. Knuckles down, chin down, and roll through. So I hope you enjoyed that and learned a little bit. I'm not 100% symmetrical. I'm weak around this hip, so if you want to go back and look for my faults, you'll probably see them. But again, if those faults, if I didn't do any strength training and I tried to run a marathon right now, I would probably develop some form of discomfort around here and maybe on the inside of this knee. Because if I ran thousands of steps and continue to let the knee drift in just a little bit, then you start to build up repetitive strain issues and you can end up with biomechanical injuries. So I think listen to your own body, get advice individually if you need it. But remember, the main thing is you need to be strong enough for the distance that you are running. So you need to be strong in your calf muscles, your quad control especially, and around the hips. We can see how important that control is when you try to do some of the single leg work. So all of this corset, all this core area will help feed into the stability around the hips here. So I hope you enjoyed that and learned something. I'll keep it quite short now, that's enough talking. If anybody has done this for educational reasons, through injury rehab or anything, and you want more information on the Pilates, remember there's 5 classes every week. You pick your own level, you do it entirely like this. This is one of these classes. So you do it in your own time at home, and then you can sign up by the subscription if you like for the 8 weeks. You'll get your 40 different classes, pick at your own pace, repeat them when you want. And so you can get back to me by email if anybody wants to do that. Thanks very much everyone, well done, bye.